Hey folks, and welcome to CarStarz' 10 Wild Facts about Walker's 92 GMC Sierra C-1500 pickup truck in the 1993 to 2001 TV series Walker Texas Ranger. Fact number 1. For the first and second seasons of the show, Walker's ride was a 1992 GMC Sierra C-1500 Club Coupe Sportside SLE pickup truck. Although the exact number of trucks used for the show is not publicly documented, there were several of these trucks, both hero and stunt-designated versions, used to fill the role of Walker's pickup for the first couple of years of the show. The truck was tied to an early arrangement with General Motors, a deliberate manufacturer-backed set of vehicles, picked to represent Walker before the series later shifted to the more remembered Dodge Ram for Season 3 and onward, which if you are more interested in the details of that truck instead, there should be a link at the top of the video now to watch my video on the Ram if you like. The GMC was there to project a product image early in the show anyway, which is what we'll be digging into in this particular video. During the GMC-backed era of the show, the production had an actual picture car team in place, not just a transportation driver tossing keys to Chuck Norris and the stunt drivers. Ed Barrera is credited as picture car coordinator, Jeff Hess was the production's auto mechanic, Richard Wayne shows up as picture car wrangler, and Alvin Milliken handled transportation coordination on the series. So, they had some dedicated folks assigned to keep those GMC pickups together, camera ready, mechanically sound, and ready to roll. The combination of a General Motors connection and a well-staffed support crew made Walker's GMC part of a planned vehicle package from the start. That puts Walker's truck in a different category than a simple character's prop. It was one of the show's core visual pieces, brought in through the truck's own manufacturer with plenty of support to keep those GMCs in mostly one piece through the hard use, at least while in front of the camera anyway. Fact number 2. Walker's GMC pickups were running the 5.7-liter 350 V8, the highest output engine option for the specific model. In 1992, at the Sierra 1500 level, that means output was around 210 net horsepower and 300 pound-feet of torque. That was considered decent in the power department for the time, especially in a sports-side truck already built to stand out visually. That gave the Sierra the kind of strong, full-bodied sound and easy low-end pull that fit Walker's truck perfectly. It looked tough, and the engine under the hood backed up that image nicely. And of course the nice part of that 350 setup was not the horsepower number by itself, it was the way the torque came in low, which is exactly what makes a pickup take off nice and hard and melting the all-terrain tires with open differential peg legs like this. Walker's GMC didn't have to scream to get moving though. It had enough twist down low to push a full-size truck along with real confidence when not driving like a maniac also, and that gave it the kind of effortless shove people associate with a proper V8 half-ton. So, even when Walker wasn't putting the pedal to the metal, you could still tell it had the kind of balanced powertrain that suited a hero vehicle, and Walker's cool, calm demeanor as well. The 4-speed 4L60 automatic transmission completed the package, which suited the 350 better than a manual would have for the kind of screen work Walker's GMC pickups had to perform. It provided smooth takeoffs, consistent shifts, and a broader usable range without extra driver effort, which is exactly what you want in a vehicle being filmed repeatedly through stops, starts, turns, and action sequences, not to mention ease of use for any actors who drive them. Paired with the proven engine, it made the GMC feel controlled and strong at the same time. That is why the truck came off as more than just stylish. It had the powertrain combination buyers chased in that era, real V8 power under the hood, and an automatic built to make that torque easy to control. Fact number 3. GMC's 4th generation full-size pickups, technically 1988 to 2002, but with a body style change occurring in '99, this generation, most commonly known as the GMT 400 line, became the backbone of the brand through the late 80s and 90s primarily. This was the truck family that carried GMC's core pickup identity, from everyday half-ton models to heavy-duty work rigs. The lineup was split into 1500, 2500, and 3500 series, giving buyers a clear jump from light-duty personal trucks to serious hauling and towing machines. GMC also separated them by drivetrain, with C models for rear-wheel drive and K models for four-wheel drive. That gave the Sierra line a wide reach. One buyer could walk in for a plain work truck, while another could leave with a much flashier pickup that still sat under the same Sierra banner. This generation also marked a mechanical turning point for GMC pickups because it was the first full-size series to use independent front suspension, or IFS. Earlier GM four-wheel drive trucks used a solid front axle, but the GM 400 moved to IFS for most of the line, both two- and four-wheel drive, giving the trucks a smoother ride, better steering feel, and a more refined road character than the older square body generation, although that change was often criticized by off-roading enthusiasts who called it out for being less durable than the former solid axle design. Under the hood, GMC offered a broad engine range for all needs as well. The light-duty trucks started with the 4.3-liter V6, then moved up to the 5 and 5.7-liter small block V8s, while the heavier-duty side of the line could be had with the 7.4-liter big block and diesel power. Trim levels also stretched from basic work-oriented models up through better-equipped SLE trucks, like Walker's, with more comfort and style. 1992 was actually the first year for Walker's specific style of GMC pickup, that being the extended cab with sport-side bed combination. Before that, buyers could get a sport-side bed, but not paired with the extended cab. That combo made his Club Coupe Sportside a very specific slice of the 4th-gen Sierra lineup, not the standard shape most people remember seeing everywhere in the 90s. Most GMT 400 GMCs out on the road were plain fleet-side bed trucks, regular cab models, or work-trim long beds. Walker's pickup sat in a more stylish corner of the Sierra family, combining the newer extended cab sportside body with the better-equipped SLE trim and the best powertrain option available for it, showing off more personality than the typical half-ton pickup, even before the added accessories were slapped on. Fact number 4. As for the mods that made Walker's truck unique and personalized for the role, the stock Sierra nose was covered by a full black brush guard that sat in front of the grille, headlights, and bumper, and gave the truck a much tougher look than any dealer stock pickup would have had. Mounted into that setup were KC Highlights auxiliary lights with black KC covers, which gave the truck the kind of off-road attitude a TV hero vehicle needed for a Texas-based country-themed main character. That combination made the truck look serious before it even moved. It was not polished, flashy, or soft. It looked like a truck built for dirt roads, chases, and bad situations, which was exactly the image Walker's Sierra needed to sell. The side and bed add-ons are what pushed the Sierra fully into a more custom truck appeal. Behind the cab sat a black tubular sport bar, and the GMC's upper profile changed immediately once that piece went on. It made the truck look taller, more aggressive, and much more distinguishable in silhouette. Mounted on the bar was another pair of KC Highlights, so the lighting package continued front to back instead of stopping at the brush guard. Under the cab, the truck wore black tubular Nerf bars that visually tied the whole lower body together and gave the extended cab Sierra a more substantial stance. The sport bar, roof height lights, and Nerf bars all worked together to turn a GMT 400 pickup into something that looked personal, outfitted, and unmistakably Walker's ride. Additionally, Walker's GMC rode on American Racing AR23 5-spoke alloy wheels wrapped in BF Goodrich all-terrain TA tires, white walls out, and that combination gave the truck the exact presence it needed. The AR23s instantly pulled the Sierra away from stock factory look, while the BF Goodrich tires added visual bite without making the truck look like a dedicated mudder, yet still off-roading capable. And of course, every so often, Walker would slap the red beacon light on the roof, Starsky and Hutch style, when in hot pursuit, along with flipping on the flasher headlights to let everyone know he's coming at you full steam. That let the Sierra move cleanly between personal transport and ranger duty without changing vehicles. Put all of it together, brush guard, KC Highlights, sport bar, Nerf bars, alloy wheels, BFG tires, and emergency lights, and the result was a truck built to fit Walker and his duties fittingly. Fact number 5. One of the most repeated and long-standing mistakes about Walker's GMC pickup that viewers make is the assumption that it was a four-wheel drive K-1500 model, mostly due to the overall off-roading inspired accessories that the truck wears, and of course making the additional assumption that just because the Dodge Ram used later on was a four-wheel drive model, the first truck must have been one too, right? Well, I can tell you for certain, folks, that none of the GMC trucks used to portray Walker's truck in the early seasons were four-wheel drive. All of them were two-wheel drive models only. The most direct visual proof that many miss sitting in plain sight is revealed in the wheels themselves. All Walker GMC trucks throughout the show had a 5-lug wheel pattern in every episode they were in, And yes, I checked every episode that a Walker GMC pickup was in, just to make very sure of that for you folks. Why does a 5-lug wheel have anything to do with the drivetrain configuration, you ask? Well, a 4-wheel drive GMT 400 half-ton used a more hefty 6-lug front hub, not 5 like the 2-wheel drive trucks had. Once the HD episodes of the show became available a while back, the higher resolution finally allowed readable wheel details cleanly, and the old fuzzy little TV days guesswork died off. So, Walker's truck was indeed a C-1500 2-wheel drive model, only dressed to look more off-road capable than it really was. That is exactly why so many people got tricked on that point for years. They saw the big brush guard, the KC lights, the sport bar, the deep tread of the BF Goodrich all-terrains and naturally assumed the truck had to be a 4x4, when in actuality it wasn't. However, the C-1500 setup was actually a better fit for the role if you think about it. It was cleaner in profile, lower to the ground, and more in line with the sporty custom truck image GMC was pushing in the early 90s product promotion-wise, not to mention was much better suited for the very hard street driving that would have toppled a taller, heavier K1500 model. It also matched the rest of the package, the V8 engine, the 4-speed automatic, the sport side bed, and the aftermarket wheel and tire combination all lean toward a sharp, fast-looking personal truck instead of an all-out workhorse off-roading trail rig. Walker's pickup may have looked like a 4x4 icon, but the trucks the show actually landed were more in between a street sport truck and an off-roader. Fact number 6. I'm sure some of you are wondering what the deal is with Walker's wonky license plates and why they suddenly change on us in late Season 2 also. Well, oddly, Walker's GMC starts off wearing the plates reading DV4708, and they are actually a lot stranger than they seem at first glance. In Texas, the leading letters DV were already tied to disabled veteran registration, the kind of plate that carried disabled veteran and U.S. Armed Forces wording on it normally. Walker's truck did not use a proper Texas disabled veteran plate design, but it did use that same official letter prefix. But, of course, there's certainly nothing disabled about the Chuck Norris-powered Cordell Walker character in the slightest, so the plates certainly don't match the driver. However, that gave the truck one of those bizarre little television details that slips past almost everyone until the footage gets sharp enough to study better later down the road. So the first plates were not just random and meaningless, it sat right on top of a real Texas plate designation, which makes it a much more unusual choice, or perhaps mistake, than the average TV show prop plates. Then, late in Season 2, specifically Episode 14, Walker's GMC pickup is suddenly wearing a different plate, that being 495-3XA, and that number actually fits an older, more authentic Texas truck plate format. Instead of looking like a strange prop number with an official prefix borrowed from somewhere else, this one reads like a real but older Texas pickup registration that could still have been on the road in the early 90s. That gives the later plate a much more believable local feel. It looks like something a Texas full-size pickup actually would have worn, not something created by a prop department trying to fill a bumper bracket. That shift from the oddball DV4708 plate to the more standard-looking 495-3XA plate is one of the most unusual details tied to Walker's pickup. The timing of that plate change tells the real story of its purpose, however. The original truck carries its early plate up until after the big brakes cut full throttle crash, where it plows through the barn and ends up hard nosediving in a pond. Then, the first time the GMC appears again afterward, the plate is different. Within the show's continuity, that is the quiet handoff point where Walker's original truck is written off as a totaled vehicle, and he has to replace it with another identical GMC that takes its place. So, in the context of the show anyway, the new plate becomes the visual sign that the battered first truck did not come back from that wreck. That gives the license plate topic more bite than a simple number check. It turns the plates into part of the truck's own story arc. Early truck, catastrophic crash, then replacement truck. Fact number 7. As many viewers may have noticed, and many not for that matter, there were a number of inconsistencies that show up across the multiple GMC trucks used over the couple years as Walker's pickup, most of which were due to attrition and part availability, while some of the changes go unexplained. The most noticeable and unexplained change being the paint job respray of the Walker GMC trucks from Season 1 to Season 2. In the first season, the trucks wear a blue-teal paint. Then, Season 2 kicks off and the trucks are suddenly repainted in a light shade of gray without any explanation of why. It's no lighting trick and not some tiny shade difference only visible in freeze frames either. It is a straight-up and complete color swap. That single switch already tells you the show was not treating Walker's Sierra like one untouched vehicle preserved in a strict bubble. While everything else stayed exactly the same, they just upped and changed the paint on us for some reason. Then, there's some weirdness with the add-on accessories that some may notice from one episode to another, but most never did. Some examples include the front end that does not keep one single brush guard design through the show. In some appearances, the guard has the fuller wraparound style brush guard that curves out toward the corners and gives the front clip a more enclosed heavy-duty look. In other shots, the truck wears the flatter style that stays more squared off across the front and does not wrap around the headlight corners in the same way. Another, even smaller inconsistency that some may spot would be on the Case C highlights, as the truck does not always carry the same Case C cover style, which means even the lighting package was not locked into one fixed part set. The Nerf bars do not stay exactly consistent from episode to episode either, as their length shifts sometimes enough to stand out. Some runs sit longer and fill more of the space under the cab, while others stop shorter and change the truck's lower body balance. With the black part in a shaded area of the truck, that kind of inconsistency is easier to miss, but also indicates differences in the parts used from one Walker GMC truck to another. Put all of those changes together and Walker's ride stops looking like one frozen television vehicle that most folks envision it as. It becomes an indication of the production trying to keep up the image of the signature truck among the chaos of the stunt work, and trying to keep parts on these trucks and all of them looking at least somewhat similar to one another for shooting days in general. Fact number 8. At least one of the former Walker GMC pickups makes its last known appearance on the show in a completely different role past Season 2. Instead of returning as Walker's personal truck, it comes back repurposed and decked out as a machine gun packing bad guys vehicle, which gives the old Sierra one last explosive scene before the series erases them for good. The truck is no longer presented as a vehicle with a clear identity tied to Walker at that point, but rather a disposable temporary side roll prop. It is folded back into the action as just another pickup in the middle of the trouble. For viewers who know the earlier seasons well, though, it's the body shape, leftover accessories from its former Walker truck roll, and overall foundation that give it away. For this very brief scene, the Sierra was reworked quite a bit to try to attempt to be incognito anyway, as it had been repainted once again, this time in a light matte tan color, giving it more of a desert combat look in this particular part. Additionally, the signature front-end hardware that gave Walker's Sierra its signature face was gone. The brush guard was removed, the KC highlights were deleted, along with the Nerf bars. Without those distinguishable pieces, it stops reading like Walker's former personal GMC and just looks like a far more generic pickup with a machine gun mounted on it, which was exactly the point, of course, for this particular scene. That makes this late appearance more significant than just a simple reuse. It is the moment the former Walker truck gets turned into a disposable stunt player. So, this particular GMC truck that once served as Walker's signature pickup across the early years finishes its TV show run not as a famous keepsake, but as just expendable action fodder, blown apart after being stripped of the image that once defined it. There is something almost poetic about that exit, yet painful as well. A truck that helped establish Walker's visual identity doesn't even get the dignity of a quiet fade into the background either, but went out in a burst of fire and wreckage instead. Fact number 9. Are there any survivor Walker GMC trucks left over from the show still around today, you ask? Well, after production concluded, the public trail on them went silent quickly. No single verified auction listing, sale catalog, museum accession, or VinBack survivor record has surfaced for the screen-used GMCs from Walker's early seasons as of yet, and considering they were used so hard and seen as so disposable for the show, any survivor prospects look bleak. So, as of yet anyway, there are no public paper trails showing a former Walker GMC crossing a major auction block, no archive sale page identifying one by serial number, and no confirmed survivor presented with production-back proof. For a famous television truck, the absence of that record is a bit striking, yet not all that uncommon for that era and prior. So, when the post-production record is stripped down to what can actually be proven with public research anyway, the result is not what fans want to hear. Walker's early GMC pickups did not enter the public spotlight later as known collector vehicles, known museum vehicles, or known auction vehicles. The trucks left the series, but their documented public afterlife never developed. However, Considering how roughly they were used within the show, and the fact that it's now been nearly 25 years since the show ended, it's highly likely that they had to scrap and or crush them after the show finished, instead of being allowed to be resold to the public, unfortunately. Fact number 10. Looking into the scale model world, although there are no official replica models of Walker's 92 GMC pickup released to date, of any scale that I could find, and not even much of any GMT 400 Sportside extended cab combo trucks, available in general for that matter, but if you're willing to venture into the world of custom model car building, you could go a couple different ways here to create a replica of Walker's GMC, but I'll warn you now that it gets a little messy, folks. One path you could go is the most expensive, but probably the most direct kit-bashing route, in which case you'd need to find a couple different 1/25th scale AMT model kits, one of which is still on the retail market, and the other isn't. The model kit that you'd want to get the extended cab part of, though be it a 96 model year, would be this Chevy C-3500 dually pickup kit here. Then, for the Sportside kit, you'd need to hunt down this 1990 model year Chevy C-1500 Sportside regular cab truck here, which does show up from time to time on eBay. You'll most likely be spending around $100 or so going this way, but it is the best factory manufactured option anyhow. About your only other option left would be going the 3D model printing route, which, believe it or not, at this point anyway, you're still going to end up having to do some 3D model bashing here, if that's even a term. But to get what you'd need, since there's not even any pre-made 3D model version of a Sportside extended cab combo available anywhere that I can find, oddly, you'll need to hit up a site that is plentiful with GMT 400 pickup 3D models, like on turbosquid.com here for instance, to acquire an extended cab truck and a Sportside truck separately. Then you'd need to print them and build them up after, of course. And folks, I don't know why the particular variant, Chevy or GMC, of Sportside/Stepside with extended cab combo are so hard to come by, as you'd sure think they would be more common, but I did more than an hour of searching for something easier to base a replica on, but I just couldn't find a decent pre-built 3D model or model kit of that combo anywhere, so that's all we got at this point anyway. By the way, folks, I have another film-related, and in similar format, YouTube channel called Mind Litter. If anyone is interested in hearing more about our favorite movies and TV shows beyond just the cars, such as other behind-the-scenes info, filming locations, and actor-related tidbits and such, I will put a link in the description below for those interested in checking it out. Well, there you have it, folks. Thanks for watching, and make sure to hit that subscribe button if you like what you saw here. You guys are all great. See you next time.